Hey guys, and welcome to the Football Manager Addict YouTube page. You might notice a little bit of a difference here. We started doing YouTube when I was living in Japan and I was travelling the world, and I kind of did a little bit when I got home, but then focused on the blog. But that kind of nicely leads us into why I decided to go back to the YouTube, because I was kind of waiting for a challenge or a save that I felt was conducive to doing a different form of content. I did a couple of blog experiments where basically we took an idea that people have talked about in football for quite a long time, which is how would Celtic and Rangers do in England? It's pretty obvious they're too good for Scotland, because I think they've won every title since like 1986. So basically in my entire lifetime, I think there's only been one team win the Scottish Premier League other than Celtic and Rangers. So it's pretty clear they're too big, they're too good to be in Scotland. So football fans have always talked about how would they fare if they came to England, if they were in the Premier League. Would they survive? Would they be able to compete? And I think that's kind of been brought to focus with the fact that Rangers reached the European final last season. They reached the Europa League final. They've beaten Dortmund, they've beaten Leipzig to get to the final, and then they were fairly unlucky to lose to Frankfurt on penalties. Would Celtic and Rangers be able to survive if they were in the Premier League? Now, if they entered right now, I don't think they would, because as we're going to show you in a minute, their squads are nowhere near good enough to compete over 38 games in the Premier League. So I'm just going to show you, first of all, I mentioned a couple of experiments we did with Celtic and Rangers. I'm going to show you how those went, and then we're going to kind of try and beat those. The aim of this series is to try and beat that. So now you join us in 2054. Now this is the save where we put Celtic and Rangers in non-league, see how long it would take them to get through the leagues, up into the Premier League, and basically be able to compete with the best teams in England. So at the moment, in 2054, Celtic have just finished 13th in the Premier League, with Rangers in 16th. Celtic have been up there a while, so I think about 5 or 6 years. So they've finished 14th, 13th, 15th, 14th, whereas Rangers have been in for 3 years. So they finished 16th, 16th, 17th. So Celtic are doing pretty well. Rangers aren't great, but they're not elite. They're not up pushing. I mean, Watford are in 7th, so they're not kind of pushing for titles in England. Celtic have established themselves in the Premier League, Rangers less so, but they're maybe on the precipice of doing so, shall we say. Now, we also did a save where we put Celtic and Rangers straight into the Premier League, and that actually went a lot better. So Celtic, as you can see, are currently 7th in the Premier League, just finished 7th in 2031, so we've done 10 seasons or 10 years in England. The Celtic are 7th, and they've done pretty well. They've actually established themselves. They're right up there with Chelsea, Arsenal. They finished 13th last year, 11th the year before that, 14th the year before that, and they've actually got some really good players, like Gonçalo Ramos is their best player, Joe Gelhardt's there, Cole Palmer's a really good player for them, got 13 assists this year, Keane Lewis-Potter. So they've got some really good players. Rangers, on the other hand, haven't done quite as well. We go into the league here, they finished 10th in the Championship, which isn't great. So obviously they started here in the Premier League, and for context, they both went down in the Premier League in the first season. Rangers came back up, but they went back down, and they were up in the Premier League as recently as 2027, and then finished way down 18th a couple of years ago. So Rangers have really struggled, and we'll take a look as well at the first season. And I think this is really important, because Rangers and Celtic were really bad. Celtic finished with 16 points. They won 3 games all year. Rangers were slightly better. They won 7. They finished with 28 points, but they were still 7 points off survival. So this got me thinking whether the next step in this save or experiment cycle is to actually take control. Like, can we do better than the AI has done? Can we take Celtic or Rangers and, first of all, keep them up? Second of all, can we kind of establish them? When the money starts coming in, can we help them compete with the best in England and make them a force in England? So that's going to be the aim. I think I might have given it away there. I'm going to manage Celtic first. For me, it's a personal thing, really. If Celtic play Rangers, personally, I want Celtic to win. Sorry, Rangers fans. I want Celtic to win if they play. I think it's going to be more interesting to do it with Celtic. So I think if you look at their teams and paper, which we will in a second, Celtic probably have a stronger squad. So we are going to jump in and take control of Celtic, and we're going to see if we can compete with the Premier League. Can we keep Celtic in the Premier League? So join us in 1 second, and we'll be back as a manager with Celtic. And just like magic, we are back in charge of Celtic. So I've used my alter ego, Trebor Martal, to take charge of Celtic. We're just going to look at the size of the issue we're kind of coming up against here. So I've just noticed they've given us an intake at the start of July, which is weird. I've never seen that before on Football Manager. Why have they done that? Obviously, we are in the Champions League. This is another strange issue. So obviously, Celtic won the Scottish Premiership last season. They've now moved to England, and they're in the Champions League, which is going to be odd. So they're fighting bravely against relegation. They have some cup expectations, which we don't really care about. So we're going to accept that. The biggest thing we need to worry about is, what is the squad we're working with? So the obvious first issue I'm sure you've all noticed is that Joe Hart is our best goalkeeper in the Premier League, aged 34. He's not great, let's be honest. He's a good Sky Bet Championship player. So that's not a great start. I think they're sorted by ability. Our best player is Kyogo Furuhashi. He's a decent Premier League player, and he's our best player. Jota's a decent winger. McGregor is he's probably going to be a leading Sky Bet Championship player. So we've basically got a team, an entire squad that's not good enough for the Premier League. And we might need to do a massive rebuild and just flog a load of players, see who we can bring in. But the biggest issue we're going to have as well is a lack of money. I think when I did the editor, I did give us a bit of money. I did ensure they had money coming in. So if you look at the projection, we're projected to be in really good financial health, so 244 million by 2 seasons time, 314 in 3 seasons time. So financially we're going to be fine. I think if we can stay up, we will be fine. The biggest issue is how we're going to do that. So youngsters coming through, we've got Abada, who I didn't realise was only 19, to be honest. So he's a good option. And we've also got Matt O'Reilly, who I really like. I've had him on Full Manager before, and he's been really, really good. So we've also got Rio Hatate, who I think is a decent player. Johnny Kenny is a prospect coming through, and he's obviously not going to be good enough for the Premier League right now. But we've got to work it out, let's be honest. We've got a few players in the reserves who might be able to call up. I think Dembele is nowhere near. Having used him on Football Manager this year, he is nowhere near ready for the Premier League yet. They currently think he's a League 2 player. Yeah, this is going to be hard work. But we're going to do some transfer work. We're going to see what we can do. And we'll come back in a month or so to show you what we've done in terms of signing players, letting players go, bringing some more money in to try and finance our way towards Premier League survival. Do you think we can do it? I'm not so sure, but we'll see. Let's also have a look at Rangers. As I was saying, they are probably actually kind of better positioned to stay up than Celtic are, I reckon. I reckon they've probably got a stronger squad on paper in terms of Football Manager. So let's compare their facilities. So Rangers have good training facilities, great youth recruitment. And Celtics is pretty similar. So that's going to be really crucial as well, I think, going through the leagues. You need to have that youth recruitment in place. You need to be able to bring through your own players as well as relying on bringing players in. So yeah, we're going to go away, we're going to do some transfers, and we'll show you the players we brought in. And we're back. So we've come back for the first home league game of the Premier League. As you can see, we've got a point. I'll show you more on that in a second. We've actually had a pretty good summer. I'm very happy with how it's gone. We'll start off having a look at the finances because they're looking really, really good. We've got 125 million in the bank. We've got 8 million left in the budget, and we've got about 90 grand in the wage budget. So we've done a little bit of business. It's quite a lot looking at this. A lot of it's not us. So let's start off with the outs. We sold quite a few players. We sold Bitten for like 2 million. Some Japanese bloke who's never going to play for us. And then we sold some backup players like Barca, Sajeti, Soro, James Forrest, who is a key player probably in real life, but he's not Premier League standard. So we sold him for 3.2 million, and a couple of youngsters have gone out on loan. In terms of ins, obviously all of these were done in real life. So the likes of Kyogo, Abada, Giacomakis, Matt O'Reilly, Juranovic, they're all kind of first team players, but we've brought in a few more. So we need a left back, and the only really half decent player I could find who wasn't ridiculously expensive was Julian Aude. He's 18, he cost us 2.5 million, rising to 5 million after 50 games, and I think he's quite a good little signing, to be honest. He looks really good. He's got loads of potential, and he's probably going to be starting. He's got competition from Greg Taylor, but I think Aude is going to be starting. The other key thing we need to sort out was a goalkeeper. So we brought in, probably quite dubiously, we've gone for David Raya. Obviously Brentford are now in the Scottish leagues. So we probably got him at a cut price, 5 million rising to 10 million. And I think he is a solid Premier League goalkeeper. He's obviously much better than Joe Hart, a big improvement. So David Raya is in. We've also got a big bloke up front, and he is big. 6'5", Artem Juba. He's a monster, and he's going to fit the way I want to play. He cost us 1.5 million, rising to 3 million, and he scored loads of goals for Zenit, 17 and 28, 20, 27. So I think he could be a decent addition. So we've done all right, I think, on the transfers in. So let's just show you the squad. Juba comes in as the best player at the club, followed by Starfelt, Jota, McGregor, Furuhashi, Raya, Cameron Carter-Vickers, and then Rogic, who's kind of... I'm in between playing him and Matt O'Reilly. So this is the way we're lining up. As I said, Juba is going to be key as a target forward. Never really played a target forward before, so we're going to see how it goes with Jota and Furuhashi out wide, Matt O'Reilly or Rogic in that midfield role with Hatate as the box-to-box, and then McGregor sitting deeper with Aude, Juranovic, Carter-Vickers, Starfelt and Raya. As I said, we've had a really good start to the season. So obviously we were in the Champions League knockouts. We had to play Midtjylland in early July. We lost away, but got 2 goals, and then we kind of hammered them at home, to be honest. Giacomakis, McGregor, Furuhashi, Turnbull with the goals. We had a much tougher test up next, and we somehow beat Monaco 1-0 away with Tom Rogic. We defended really well. It didn't create that much. We actually had more shots than them, but then in the home leg, they were much better. They dominated this game. They scored early on, but we defended really well again and held on for extra time, and Giacomakis came off the bench to nick the vital win. And we got Shakhtar in the next round, and we won at home 2-1. Matt O'Reilly and Hatate, the team midfielders, scored, and they came back into it. Despite having a man sent off, they came back into it and scored just before the hour. But fairly confident going to Ukraine, we might be alright. We have played one league game as well. So we played Aston Villa. Juba, the big man, scored from a free kick, and then they got back into it just before the break. But really strong point away at Villa, who are a really good team on this. So yeah, that's a good start, I think. In terms of what the media expect, not very much, I'll be honest. 600 to 1. Us and Rangers 600 to 1. Oh, Rangers gone to 700 to 1 now. And Norwich still expected to come last, despite Celtic and Rangers being in the league. So I think we've got a decent chance. I think we've done quite well in the transfer window. Moved on some players who are obviously no good, and kind of strengthened a little bit. We didn't have much to work with, but I think we've done okay. So I'm going to bring you our first game, the first Premier League game at Celtic Park, the first Premier League game ever to be played in Scotland. We're up against Wolves today. I don't think it's going to be easy. I'm not really expecting much from this, but let's go into it and see what we can do. So I think O'Reilly picked up a knock in the European game, so we're going to bring Rogic in. There's a few players who are a bit tired, but they can play. They're going to be fine. Big Juba's a bit knackered, so I'm not sure whether or not to play him or not. I think we're going to play him. And let's go. Yeah, I think we might struggle against Wolves, to be honest. So we've got Raya, Juranovic, Vickers, Starfelt, O'Day, McGregor holding behind Hatate and Rogic, with Jota and Furuhashi supporting Juba. We've got O'Reilly on the bench, who's a decent player, Abada, who's a good youngster, Turnbull, who's a good young midfielder, Ralston's a right back, Maida is like a striker winger, and Taylor's the left back. And yeah, you look at the Wolves team, they're much stronger. So Semedo, Nuri, Martinho, Neves, Trincao, Podence, Jimenez. Yeah, I don't expect much out of this. Not much out of them there. There we go. Rangers have already scored. First minute at Southampton. Hatate's nicked in there nicely. And there we go, the big man up front. And Kyogo's in. Oh, he's put it wide. That was a big chance. We're doing quite well at winning the ball back though. And obviously we've got Juba to play off if we can get players forward, which I think, I like that centre midfield attack role generally. But I think if you've got a big bloke up front. Oh! Jota has smashed it in. And that's his first Celtic goal. I was not expecting anything to happen there, to be honest, but McGregor sitting deep. I think he's really good in that deep lying role. And Jota is a beautiful finish. We're 1 up. I will take absolutely nothing happening for the rest of the match. If I run the attack again, potentially. McGregor again. Oof, Rogic. I think that clipped the bar on the way through. We've had a really good start here. We're looking really positive. But we have to be really careful of Wolves. Lauday's done well, won the ball back a few times. That's a huge kick downfield. That's one thing we have to be really careful of as well. If we're just hoofing the ball downfield, and Wolves are going to be dangerous. Jimenez has gone over the bar, that'll do. Hatate's really tired in midfield, so we need to be careful with him. So it's Kyogo. But at the moment, I'm happy. Which is always, I find that's the most dangerous thing to say at half time. But here's Jota again. And Hatate, and that's a lovely pass. But Rogic, his finishing's not the best. I'll say that for him. Oof. We are aiming every set piece at Juba, by the way. 6'5", so well worth doing. Oof. Oof. Double save by Raya. First one was really good save. I think we might need to make a midfield change. Hatate is looking really tired. There. Okay. And Kyogo's also tired and not playing particularly well. So let's bring on Dazen. Jota drifting again. Oh, what? No, surely that's not a red card. Oh my god. That wasn't a red card, was it? I think I'm going to bring off the big man. Get Giacomakis on. We're going to drop the mentality slightly. Hopefully we can just waste the time. And there we are. Celtic's first ever win in the Premier League. That is a really solid performance. We've dominated it. 15 shots, 5 on target to their 3, 5 to 3. 1.19 XG to 0.56 XG. I think we've dominated every area of that game, to be honest. We could have had a couple more goals, potentially. But 2 fullbacks played really well. Keeper played really well. McGregor, really good in that holding role. And obviously Jota, the goal scorer. So we've got to be really happy with that. I think that puts us 3rd in the Premier League. We will take that at the end of the season, please. Chelsea, Liverpool, Celtic, Leeds, West Ham, Wolves, Southampton. And interestingly, Rangers are bottom of the league. So, very contrasting fortunes early on in the league season. I noticed Brocha and Lukaku, both on 3 goals already. So in terms of schedule, we've got a fairly tough start, to be honest. Leicester at home. I fancy us at home generally. Leicester, Tottenham. We've got a must-win game against Norwich there. And then I think Everton are really good on this, aren't they, with Lampard? They tend to do quite well. Brighton at home, we should be winning. Then we've got a really, really tough run in here with City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, before a big game against Rangers. So, I think what we're going to do is we're going to play all those games off camera. For full clarity, I'm not going to be playing every game. We'll do some simming. But we'll get up to Rangers on 27th of November at home, the big first Old Firm clash, and that'll be the 2nd episode. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing Celtic in the Premier League, and I'm fairly confident. If you have any thoughts on players we should bring in, players who we haven't seen, players you want to see, let me know. But for now, thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time.